Welcome back. CBS News is finally confirming the truth behind the Hunter Biden laptop story. Can you believe they say that it's real 2 years later? After dismissing the bombshell New York Post report, 60 Minutes host Leslie Stahl laughed it off when President Trump brought it up during an interview airing just days before the 2020 election. Watch.
I think it's one of the biggest scandals I've ever seen, and you don't cover it. You want to talk about...
Well, because it can't be verified.
You want to talk about insignificant things.
I'm telling you.
Of course it can be verified. Excuse me. They found the laptop. Leslie.
It can't be verified.
What can't be verified?
The laptop.
Joining the conversation all morning long this morning is Kathryn Rooney Vera and Rob Astorino. Rob, I know that the American people are looking at things like inflation, jobs, the economy, crime as their top issues. But you know how I feel about the threat of communist China.
Yeah.
And that is why I focus on these investigations, because people need to connect the dots to all of that money taken in and influence peddling of the Biden family and what it means in terms of making America vulnerable in the face of communist China, which has stated a goal over and over again to overtake the United States as the #1 superpower. But why has it been so hard for the media to report truth?
Well, certainly in the Trump era, they were in their fog and their activism was at a level 10. And so if Trump was for it, they had to be against it. If Trump said it, it was untrue. And the reverse was just the same, right? If Biden did something wrong, that can't be true because he's running against Trump. And so they refused to do their job. And now they're embarrassed, and they know they're embarrassed. But when did a rumor, when did something that was unverified not get play in the media all the time? As long as one person reports it, it's fair game, and they always go that way. But this, the Post came out before the election, and the interesting thing, I think it was 9% of Biden voters and Democrats themselves said that they have had that information before the election about Hunter Biden and the laptop, and Joe Biden, potentially that connection. They would not have voted for Biden. That turns the election to Trump. That's how important this story was and why it was buried by the CBS Newses and every mainstream media, other than, of course, Fox and the New York Post.
Yeah, and we also, Kathryn, have to point the finger at the establishment, and that is government. The FBI was the one who actually called Meta, the owner of Facebook, and said there's going to be disinformation. So there was a little collusion, according to the Republicans, where the FBI called the media and said, don't report this. And then you had the 51 spies that lied. You know, I mean, people actually signed their name to a document that said this was disinformation. Why? Just to keep Trump out.
It's very unsettling, and for the American populace to know this is going on here in our own country, it's extremely upsetting. From a market's perspective, Maria, what I will say is markets are up because the more we're talking about investigations in the Republican House investigating Hunter Biden, the less we're spending on green energy and blowing out our deficit and passing all of these spending plans. So markets like gridlock, and that's why they're moving higher.
You think that we will see gridlock then, Kathryn? You think that nothing gets done in the coming few years?
Very likely that investigations replace a lot of voting on spending plans and policy. So markets like stability, and gridlock lends to that.
And Maria, you know, the Republicans, now that they have the gavel, they control everything in the House. So obviously it takes both the Senate and the House to pass legislation in order to go to the president. And the House is not going to yield to this craziness. They better not. But I don't think they will. And now we're in a presidential race, so everything kind of just comes to a grinding halt, which is a good thing because of where we're at right now with the economy. But I would caution the Republicans on one thing. Not that it's unfair, because it is. They should go full throttle and find out everything about the Hunter Biden laptop, not because it's Hunter Biden, but because of the President of the United States and what official action he may or may not have taken as vice president and as president, if he's compromised. Those are real national security issues in his dealings with China and Ukraine and everybody else, to see how he may or may not have sold out our country to protect himself. himself. That's legitimate. But don't go overboard to the point where it becomes so consuming that you're forgetting what the average person is going through, because they're not really thinking about this on a day-to-day basis. They're thinking about how to pay the bills.
Yeah. Meanwhile, China continues a heavy hand. It is poised to impose a fine on Jack Ma's Ant Group.